Hello. Let's see. I got a little static in the lapel mic. Let's see if we can tame that. How does that sound? Not great. That looks better. All right, we're going to go with that for now. So welcome everyone to another edition of Kudo Camera Company live stream. Today we're going to unbox some Canon FD lenses that I won at an estate sale auction online. So let's get into it. As always, you can check out all of our gear at kudocameracompany.com. You can find us on eBay, on Amazon, on Facebook and Instagram. And it would be great to have you subscribe on YouTube as well and get involved in the conversation. So I'm new to the live chat, but I'll keep an eye on it as best as I can. I don't have that many subscribers right now, so it's probably not going to be a lot of live chats to look out for. So maybe I should just I'll just focus on what I have. Oh, and I forgot the mouse here. Let me grab the mouse. I ordered a wired mouse, so I don't have to worry so much about switching back and forth. But for now, let's just switch that macro shot, and I'm going to bring the mouse with me. Hopefully it'll work inside this room. We'll see how well it works. Okay. So you can actually, you know what? It's getting pretty good. I'm going to switch back because first I have to open this box. So here we go. So when you order something from an estate sale online, you never know what the condition is going to be. That's part of the fun. And it's also really the way that you can make any sort of profit. You're not going to make a lot of profit if you buy all lenses that are in perfect condition. So as a business owner, this is one of the risks associated with running a camera company. You have to be able to buy goods as is and hope that they were well taken care of. You really never know until you get them. So, oh boy, the worst thing that I ever have to deal with, packing peanuts. So these are always a mess to take care of. So I wish people would not pack with packing peanuts, but when I order and I win an auction, I always ask for them to individually wrap each item in bubble wrap. So that's really what I care most about. So there's one. I know these are Canon FD lenses. I have no idea what condition they're in. So that's what we're going to assess today. So this is kind of the mystery part. We'll see how they turn out. It should be two Canon FD 50 millimeter 1.4 and one 50 millimeter 1.8, and the other one, maybe it's a 28 millimeter f2.8. So let's see. All right, let's see if we can switch back over. Wow, the wireless mouse is really working today, which is nice. So we'll just quickly pick up these vacuum pads. That shouldn't take more than a second. So I figured this was a great way to show people what it's like to get the lens, and we're going to do something else too. We're going to assess the lens according to my normal checklist. The normal checklist that I go through, it's somewhat, it was originally in alphabetical order. It's basically aperture, body, focus, optics, and optical haze and optic balsam separation. Let's see if I can get the aperture value down one. Too bright, right? I'm going the wrong way. It's backwards. Go down one more. Might be better to do the ISO. Well, we'll go with this for now. It'd be nice to get it down another step. It's not really responding. hopefully not everything's gonna be as bright as this camera. So, all right, let's take a look at the first one. Sure looks bright. Yeah, I should just, let's see how we do here with this. What do you think? ISO 1600. Still too bright, right? All right, we'll go one more try. ISO 800. Hey, that's better. That works. All right, let's see what we have. Oh, first things first, I have to get on the nitrile gloves. The main reason I use the nitrile gloves is to keep my own hands clean, because if you've ever gone through a camera lot, they can be pretty, I'm trying to think of a nice word to describe them. They could be dusty. They can be worse than dusty at times too. The worst is really the camera bag itself. So this particular lot doesn't have a camera bag with it. But so many of the camera bags just have been around for a long time and usually sitting, and just the old fabric smell. It's just so bad. So that's kind of the thing, the worst part about it. So let's see how easily we can get into this. Not easy. It's nice that they're individually wrapped, though. I've had times where I've won an online auction and I'll send them a message with every order that says, please individually bubble wrap each piece. But once in a while, I'll get somebody who says, okay, I passed on your message, but it doesn't go through. And one of the most expensive lots that I ever won, it came with everything just jumbled in the bag, all the lenses banging up against each other the whole way. And luckily, I got lucky and nothing was damaged, but pretty frustrating. Let's see, we're almost there. Okay, here we go. Okay, the moment of truth. So what we can see so far about this, basically, let's see if I can get a little bit more light on that. It's definitely grimy, so we'll try to clean that up a bit. The focus feels smooth. Let's just test the aperture ring, see if it moves well. Yeah, the aperture ring feels smooth. Okay, now the moment of truth. We'll take a look at the optics. The optics look pretty good from here. And on the back, they look pretty good here too. So far we're in good shape, because optically is really, the main concern. So I always go through the same process. Basically, use the blower first, blow away any debris that's there, then brush away anything that was left. The back, I try to be a little bit careful not to hit against any of the greasy areas with the soft brush, because I don't want it to get any grease stuck on it. So this one looks pretty good. So now with a Canon FD lens, what you'll find is that when you twist the aperture, let's see, twist the aperture ring, see how the actual diaphragm or the aperture blades do not move. So that's normal. One thing you want to look for when you're inspecting a lens too is to see if there's any oil present on the aperture blades. This one looks clean on the aperture blades. So the way that you test the Canon FD, you can put it onto an adapter, but I always tend to just have my body, and I always put it on bulb. Sometimes if you have it on 125th or something, it moves so fast you can't even see it. So if you put it on bulb, you can hold it, and now you can see it looks like it's working well. One thing to remember about when testing these is you want to make sure, even when it's wide open at 1.4, that there's no blades peeking through, because if it's damaged, it can actually not open up all the way. So it's important to test it when it's all the way closed down like that, but it's also important to test it while it's wide open. So these AV1s, they have a flaw. It was a really cheap battery door, and as a result, this one flips open all the time, but that's okay. It's great for testing. So this one's kind of very simplistic. It has a bulb, a flash sync mode, and then an auto mode. So I keep it on bulb, and that way when I push it, I can hold it down and I can check it out and make sure it's all good. When I'm doing my eBay ads, I always take a picture of the aperture blades as well. So doing that, it helps to be able to do it with bulb. That way you can hold it down and get a nice picture of it all the way open or all the way closed down like you're seeing here. So this one's really in decent condition. You can see there's quite a bit of grime. Quite a bit of grime on it, but let's see if we can get a little bit more light on that. So let's do a quick cleaning on the numbers at least and see how we do it. So for me, I basically clean with, I try to use alcohol or sometimes Zippo fluid depending on what the grime looks like. This time, because the grime looks somewhat organic, I'm going to actually use some hydrogen peroxide very sparingly to try to get it off. I found that sometimes I'll rub something for a long time with some alcohol and it just won't clean. So the idea with using hydrogen peroxide, for me, it was sort of a last resort when I first tried it, and I found that it broke down the worst of the worst, but sometimes it doesn't get you that nice bright white that you look for in these letters, but it does help. Sometimes, you know, I'm assessing this lens. There's a little bit of paint chipping here. That's really not a big deal, of course, but it would be nice to get it in perfect condition where the letters were just bright white and nice and shiny, everything shiny, no chips. The only spot where there's really much of a chip is really just right there near the 22. So I'm gonna call that, I pretty much just use a hydrogen peroxide for anything major. So that's all gone. And I'm just gonna clean it up or dry it off. Try to get, I don't know what happens when you mix hydrogen peroxide and isopropanol. So what I'm gonna do to avoid that is just clean it off as best I can, and that looks good. So next I'm gonna go in with some isopropanol. I have 100%, but I store it in this old bottle. I keep it in a sort of a lab bottle, the full amount that I have, and then I just pour some in here and use it sparingly. So I switch over to alcohol now, and I'm gonna see how I can get this in. Some people like to use a toothbrush. I use a toothbrush as well, but I find, I mean, look at what's coming off right now just with using the Q-tip for now, just to see how easy it comes off. I hope everyone's having a great day. Maybe we'll get lucky here and all these lenses will be in great shape. This one is not great shape, but it's an 80%er where the optics are great. Mechanically, it feels great. I'm going to take a look through the viewfinder. Usually, there are very few problems with maybe a lens has been taken apart and put back together in the wrong order. That would obviously cause a problem for you. But of all the lenses I've tested, I haven't had that happen yet. So, we're getting very low on the alcohol. So, I might have to go to the beaker. maybe that's a reason to develop a Kudo Camera Company ad. So when I need to take a break or just go quickly grab something, you don't have to just stare at my camera shelf. So this alcohol is doing a good job. Still, it's not getting it quite as clean as I want to. As most of you probably know, you can redo the lettering on these with some, it's basically a paint pen. I think it's lacquer, and that can be really a good thing to do. But whereas this lens is about, it values about $100, you really don't want to go through and do that. I mean, maybe if you were really proficient, you could go through and just quickly clean it up, but it's kind of an all or nothing thing. It's not, it's kind of like teeth whitening. You know, this 11 is really the grimiest one of all. So, but if you're going to do any of them, you have to do all of them. It's like teeth whitening, where you can't just whiten your front two teeth, because all the rest of your teeth would look really weird. So if you're going to go through and redo the lettering, you pretty much have to do it all. So it's an all or nothing. It's an all or nothing proposition. So we're getting there on this lens. So not to over belabor it, the other areas I look is in here and see if there's any grime stuck in here. This one looks good. So if you can see, let's see if I can get some reflection on it so you can really see. That's really the only place where there's much damage on the lens. You do, you know, I prefer to see these bright white, but we'll do what we can. I'll go at it a little bit longer afterwards, but for now, let's just say this one was pretty successful. What I'll do is I'll just take a quick peek through the viewfinder. Let's see, maybe, can you see through the viewfinder here? Not really, no, of course not. So let me just check for myself. Looking outside, oh yeah, we got infinity focus, and then for a close focus, we're about right there. So that's right in line with what I would expect out of this. Looks really good. Beautiful. Okay. So we've got, this one's all set, looking good. So now on to the next one. Let's see. I'm getting such good mouse reception right now that if I knew that was going to happen, I wouldn't have ordered the wired mouse. I'd like to eliminate the amount of wires. I've also been having some issues with the lapel mic. It's having some static. I don't know if it's a wired lapel mic. I don't know if it's because it's bumping into some cables that have electricity running through them, or what's going on with why it's staticky, but it seems like it's not staticky right at the moment. So I have an audio interface that I could use and maybe get one of those desktop. I have a condenser mic too, but as you can see, one less thing on the desk would probably be a good thing. This one we're already off to a good start because it has the original Canon lens cap. So let's switch back over here. I'd like to get a little bit more brightness. I mean, we gotta set the exposure for the lens, not the bubble wrap. So don't mind me. Let's go back up to, we'll try 1600. I'm sure it probably needs 2 steps, but oh, that's better. You can see that, Canon. So we're off to a good start there. It's got the original cap on the front and on the back. I tried to boost up the aperture so that the aperture is at around f16 or so that way we could get some more focus, not such a shallow depth of field. So this is a Canon FD 28mm f2.8. The focus feels smooth, but if you look here, there's quite a bit of debris and grit on this particular lens around the focus area. Maybe this would be a good one to show you how to take the trim pieces off. I could do that add a later video and just clean it up. I'm not going to do a repair video on this one though. This is really all about unboxing and just assessing. So optically it looks clean, no scratches, no haze. Oh, speaking of haze, I forgot to check that last one for haze. So let's do that. If I remember something, usually I actually have, before I list anything, I have a checklist that I go over. So I'm not going to miss that in the grand scheme of things, but I have an actual checklist, you know, that I use, and I document everything. So it's a good thing I checked this one. It does have quite a bit of debris inside. I can take care of that though. Okay, so this is part of assessing the lens. So here you can see it looks perfect. And then when you shine a flashlight in the back, you see all the imperfections. So let me see how much I can. It's a little bit tough to show on camera, but can you see those specks? So no flashlight, it looks perfect. Once you get that flashlight in there, you can, you know, when I have it off to the side especially, you can really see what we're trying to inspect. All right, so okay, it is what it is. I can get that clean inside. It's no major balsam separation. No real haze, no real cloudy haze. It's just a bit of dust and debris inside. So that's easy enough to clean up. And actually, I've been hoping to get my hands on a Canon FD lens because they're one of my favorite ones to take apart because they're one of the most difficult ones. And so I have a little bit of fun doing it because I know I've learned how to do it. So no fungus. While I'm at it with the flashlight, I'm gonna just check that. See a little bit of maybe some cleaning marks, or it could just be a fingerprint. Let's just check. If you look at everything with a flashlight, eventually you're going to see that there's really no such thing as a perfect lens, especially these vintage lenses. But when you shoot with it, there's not a lot of drawback to it. You have plenty to work with on this particular lens. It looks good. So this one, as you can see, the lettering is much, much cleaner. So around the edge here, let's just see how much just will wipe away just with the lens cloth. Quite a bit. See why I like to use the gloves now? You know, when I go to a camera fair, I bring a pair of gloves, even though I kind of look like a germaphobe. This is exactly why. When you deal with camera lenses all day long, you know, once you have a nice clean lens, you know, I don't like the lenses I bring with me to a party or something. Those have already been cleaned. But when you're going through old grimy stuff all the time, it helps to wear some gloves. There's a lot of grease in this area too on most of these lenses. So I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed. If you're checking this out for the first time, it would be awesome to have you subscribe. I'm hoping to grow this channel. Eventually I'm going to be doing eBay listings live. I figured, why not do two things at once? I can do eBay listings and I can stream live, and that way if I'm talking to myself, which normally I don't, it gets a little quiet in the camera shop at times, so maybe being able to do this will be a good time. This one has the battery, I guess, a little low. Let's see if that's, yeah. So testing the aperture here, it looks good. You can test the auto aperture as well, just to make sure that's working. And what was that? All these lenses have their own personality, and they've been through a lot. So hey, we've got a successful lens here. The lettering really doesn't need to be cleaned up on this particular lens. This one's pretty much just a winner straight out of the box. I got really, really lucky on this one. Usually you have to, you've got to be willing to take it apart if need be to clean it out and get it ready in ship shape for sale. That one didn't. That one was in perfect shape pretty much. So that one's kind of a winner. Great. Let's see how this wireless mouse is working. Hey, look at that. I can switch over. Forgive the worn out polo shirt. I've got an idea to order a gray Kudo Camera Company embroidered shirt. I have the black sweatshirt, which I love to wear in the camera shop, but one of my buddies said too much black in the frame and said I need to wear some gray. So, you got to listen to the professionals. So I'm going with the gray. I'm not a set designer, but I'm trying to make improvements here a little bit at a time. So is the popping too loud? All right, so here we go. What do we have here? Another Canon 50mm f1.4. Okay, look at that new lens cap, front and back. This one has a filter on it, so chances are it's more likely that it's been well protected. Sometimes when you get somebody has two 50mm f1.4s, you wonder if there was something wrong with the other one, or maybe, and that's why there were two. This one's got a fleck of dust in the back. Nothing you can really see, but it's there. Look at that beautiful coating. So I'm going to do a video about the differences between all the different styles of Canon FD, right from the FL, the original FL for the SLRs, through the SSC, SC, SSC, and then the NFD. Again, I really lucked out on this one. This one's in really great shape. The lettering is a little bit grimy, but if you compare it to the other one, I cleaned this one up. Oh, I'm going a little long here. Let me just quickly get that one back on. Let's see. Are we back on? Live action. So, I'm using Canon EOS SLR cameras to run the live stream, and I'm still learning about their limitations, so forgive me. Seems like they turn off the live preview after a certain amount of time. In this case, we've been streaming, about a half an hour, so that's sort of my time to almost wrap it up. Let's see. We've got one more lens to look at. This one, I always clean the lettering because any little bit that you can do to just get it a little bit cleaner, that's a good thing. So let's take a look and see what our last lens is. I'm on the wide angle. I'm just going to reset this one too, because chances are if the other one ran out, this one's probably going to run out too. Okay. Last but not least. So the next thing I'm going to do is probably clean that 50mm 1.4 just while I'm here, and I'll show you how to take it apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this live stream momentarily, and then I'm going to kick off a new live stream just with a very short break in between to do one of my favorite topics, which is how to take apart a 50 millimeter f1.4. So here we've got the 50 millimeter f1.8. So if you look here, I'm going to switch over to the macro shot. We're off to a good start. The lettering is just perfectly white. It makes sense because when you own two 50 millimeter f1.4s, chances are the f1.8 isn't going to get a lot of playing time. So hence it's in excellent condition. The aperture looks nice and clean. We'll test it for optically on the back. It looks clean. There's no major flaws. So very rarely do I open up a kit and have 4 good looking lenses. So this is what you call just a really lucky day. It's kind of what you hope for, but very rarely actually get. So that's really beautiful. Let's give this one a quick test on the body, and then I think we're gonna call it a day for this stream. So perfect. Snappy aperture. I'm sure on future streams I'm going to keep doing these unboxings, especially for all different types of things. It would be really cool to, you know, have one that had some oily aperture so I could say, oh, look how oily that aperture is. That's no good. But sometimes you get lucky, and today I got lucky, and I'll take it. There's more you have to inspect on these lenses. You have to check and make sure the filter threads are good and round. That would be a serious issue. We'll have to check this one for some haze, and but otherwise we're really off to a good start from that perspective. So this one, as far as the haze goes, it's a little bit more hazy than I like, but the more of these you look at, you'll see that there's none that are a 10 out of 10. That's why the best rating that I give on haze is a 9 out of 10, even if it's crystal clear, because the photographers who I have as clients have really high expectations when they purchase a lens. So it's all about communication and setting a low expectation on something, and then having the buyer be pleasantly surprised, not the other way around. Setting a low expectation, having them be surprised is a good thing. This is a beautiful lens, though. You're going to be able to shoot this one all day with no adverse performance as is. And if I pop it open and clean it up a bit, then it will be even better. So, well, I think that was pretty successful. So one other thing that I do when I go to store these, they all get silica gel. So basically what I do is I get a Ziploc bag, silica gel, and then I also use some shrink wrap to keep it all tightened up. So I'll just give you a quick example of that. We'll use the 20, you know what, we'll just use the 1.8. So lens cap, silica gel into the bag. This is an example of what I would do for a long-term storage. If you have ideas that are better, I would love to hear them. I'm always improving my process. I'll tell you more about the eBay process at a different stream, because what I started out doing, I would pre-box everything and pre-wrap it, and I learned that's not a good idea for a number of reasons. But so my permanent marker's in the other room, so this isn't going to be a real wrap, but what I do basically at this point is I squeeze it down, get all the air out of it that's possible, and I'm going to switch over to the wide shot to show this part. So then What I've found in doing this with the shrink wrap, I use color changing silica gel, and I found that when I started shrink wrapping them for long-term storage, when I opened them back up, I'd say for a long period of time, up to probably 6 months or so, the silica gel stays perfect. So the color changing hasn't occurred at all by doing the shrink wrap. If you have it so that you don't shrink wrap it, air seeps into these bags and it's not perfect. So doing it with the shrink wrap at the end is a really great way to just kind of preserve it that much longer. I've thought about maybe getting some sort of a food preservation machine. I might do that still. There's a good chance of that. So, well, I appreciate everyone tuning in, and we're going to call it a day for this particular stream, but we'll pop back over in just a minute and take a look at what's going on with that 50 millimeter f1.4 and see if we can't get it cleaned up. We're going to give it a shot. So you see how to get into this lens. That's going to be the next thing we're going to do here. We've got some steak tips in the oven and some vegetables. So maybe I've got about 25 minutes before those are done. So we'll see if we can't get this lens cleaned up in that amount of time. So if you're watching live now, pop over to the next one, and we'll see you there. Don't forget to subscribe.